All my life I've dealt with anxiety and anger. I always kept it inside because I never wanted to disappoint anyone. It would come out with me getting upset over things that didn't make sense, and I would be called dramatic and sensitive. My siblings would tease me about crying and being a baby, so I taught myself to shut off those emotions. I became very angry, and I started cutting when I was 12 as a way to let it all out. At first, it was in places that people could see, even though I tried to hide it. It wasn't a cry for attention. It was me not knowing what I was doing. As I got older, I learned how to hide it. It became a ritual. It was the only thing I took comfort in. I got so good at it that my husband of almost 7 years didn't even know that I was doing it. This past summer was very difficult for me. I found myself locking myself in my room and telling my husband I needed a break, that I didn't take any time for myself, and that's all I was doing. But I was lying to him. I would lie in my bed at 5 in the afternoon on a gorgeous day telling myself that I wasn't worth it. I wasn't worth loving. I was a bad mom, wife, friend, daughter. I was a bad person. Why would someone love me? How could someone love me? I was stuck in my head. These thoughts just took over, and the cutting just wasn't enough anymore. So one night I started drinking. Then when I got comfortable with drinking, I would also cut. Those two things shouldn't mix. It got so bad that I was drinking during the week and going to work with a hangover. I remember a night that I was sitting on the kitchen counter drinking on a weeknight, and my husband came down and didn't think anything of it. If he did, he didn't say anything to me. But I felt that I needed to justify why I was drinking. I would be out driving at night and trying to figure out how I could stop at a bar and have a few drinks. What stopped me was that there was no one I could call to come pick me up, and if I did, then that meant people would know what I was doing. There was another night that I was just so lost in my head that I drove out to the lake and I cut myself in my car. That kind of scared me because I never did it outside of my house or outside of my ritual. I knew I needed to change. I didn't realize how scary it was until I shared with someone close to me. She asked me what I would have done if I cut too deep, but I knew what the answer to that was. If I cut too deep, I probably would have died. All of these things would go on at night after my son was safe and in bed. All these terrible thoughts and feelings would enter my mind. I would go to a really dark place, and I kind of liked it there. It was like that is where I belonged. That's just who I was. I was comfortable there. That's what I've known for so long. From the outside looking in, it looked like I had it all. A successful marriage, a husband, son, a beautiful house, and 2 cars. At 26, it seemed like I had it all figured out, but really I was just a prisoner of myself. I was doing the same thing I did as a kid. I kept it all to myself because I didn't want to disappoint anyone. I didn't want to disappoint or embarrass my husband, the one person who was always there for me, the one person that I could trust. I was pushing him away, and our marriage was suffering because of this. At one point, I thought I would be better off alone and that I could be a single mom and didn't need him for anything. What kind of mom would I be doing that to my child? At this point in my life, I didn't believe in God. I had no reason to. God let some pretty awful things happen to me growing up, so why would he help me now? I prayed a lot when I was a kid until I started to realize none of my prayers were being answered. At the end of last summer, I became close with someone I've known all my life but didn't really know personally. She kept saying, "Meg, you really need to come to the healing rooms just once." I kept saying, "No, that stuff is weird." But eventually she got me to agree to go with her one night, but I didn't show up. After weeks of her telling me to go, I finally went. I pretty much went kicking and screaming, but I went. I almost walked right out of the door 5 seconds after walking in, but I didn't. And at that time, I didn't realize it, but that's right where God wanted me. I went in, and all I kept thinking was how weird this is. I didn't know these people, and they didn't know me. How am I supposed to sit here and talk to these strangers about my life and then let them pray for me? I went along with it, though. I was a little freaked out because they wanted to hold my hands. If you know me at all, you know I don't do well with those things. I thought the whole thing was really weird. I listened to what they had to say, and I thought they were nice. Crazy, but nice. I left and kept saying how weird that was. I'm never doing that again. And then the next week, I somehow found myself back at the healing rooms. Not sure why I was there, but I was. I went in for prayer still thinking how weird it was, and I left feeling very different. Someone gave me a hug and said they felt like they were hugging their own daughter. I felt like this woman was kind of crazy. I just got done telling this person my darkest secrets, and she wants to give me a hug. What is wrong with her? If she really knew who Meg was, she wouldn't be doing this. I had a lot to think about. Maybe all this stuff was real, so I accepted Jesus. Then all these weird things kept happening to me. People were coming back into my life, and I allowed myself to let them in. I started taking down some of my walls and really letting people get to know me. I knew that God was doing some serious work in me, and it wasn't easy. I began to realize that people who should be supportive of me weren't. They judged me and made fun of me, people I thought that I could trust. I didn't understand why they weren't happy for me changing my life and growing. I didn't need anyone to believe that this was all God's work. I just wanted them to respect me regardless of what I believed. So I began to question everything again. Why was this happening to me? I don't deserve to be happy. I started cutting and drinking again. I was able to lie to my husband about the drinking, making the excuse that I was just enjoying a drink and having some me time. He believed me so I could get away with anything I wanted to. The enemy saw a way in and took it. I was right back to where I started. One night I found myself outside the healing rooms having a panic attack. Dawn convinced me to come in, and eventually I agreed to go in for prayer. I went in shaking and panicking. Immediately they started to pray for me. Something happened in that room that night. I can't explain it. By the end of the night, everyone was laughing and the room was filled with joy. I felt like a new person. People even said I looked different, and they didn't recognize me. From that moment on, I knew I was right where I was supposed to be. I know I still have a lot to work on. God is not even close to being done with me. I still struggle with making the right choices, and I still fail at times, but I keep going. I am so thankful that all these crazy things have happened in my life. I now know what it feels like to love and be loved. I'm still struggling with the whole hugging thing, but I'm working on it. I wouldn't be here today if it weren't for God placing some amazing people in my life since the day I was born. 2 of those people have actually saved my life with 3 simple words: I love you. I felt like someone actually would care if I died. I am actually loved. I thank God every day for my life, and I am truly blessed.
Was it crazy?
A little bit.
I don't know. Who's that?
This is the first time Meg came in here. Does anyone remember seeing her face when she came in here? I mean, she did not want to be here. So she has come so far, Meg. You have come so far. I cannot even begin to tell you. It's so cool. It blesses us that you're standing here and doing this today. You don't even know. I just want to cry. I'm just so happy.
Me too.
I know, right?
Thanks, Meg.
Thank you, Meg.
Yeah, thank you.
And if anyone
I
has
do remember that
questions,
first night.
if anyone has any questions or any comments or anything, please feel free to go ahead.
The hugging thing you get used to. It doesn't change how weird it is, but you get used to it.
But you're just coming here weird with us now.
I just hugged you, sorry.
Sorry.
No, that works, man. Crazy begets crazy. You know?
That's why we hug you. We're trying to like transfer the crazy.
At least you didn't drink the Kool-Aid.
I'm drinking it.
You're already one of us. I'm just kidding.
Do you know how inspirational you are to everybody in this room? That right now you are an inspiration to every spirit in this room. You inspire them to just get more of that Holy Spirit. You are an inspiration. A success story. A winner.
And it takes guts to stand up there and tell people this.
You're extraordinary.
I do want to add to Meg's testimony a little bit, just by showing everybody this. Okay, this hangs in my office because I really, after a lot of begging and
You gotta
texts,
look over here.
after a lot of texts and begging, she let me have this. And you know, cutting self-injury as part of an anxiety disorder is a way to really purge pain, to get pain out of you. Okay, and what Meg. What it turns out that she has this extraordinary talent. I mean, this really is. This hangs in my office, and people come in there. Oh my gosh, who painted that? In fact, Sandra Dowie, who runs the Truth Seekers, her and her daughter were in there saying how extraordinary this painting was. They love the tree, and so is that my?
That's your phone.
I have that.
We have some technical difficulties.
You know that confidential conference?
I have no idea. I'm trying on it. You just missed it.
He's like the show. I don't even know what show he's watching on there. So,
How long ago was this? How long ago did you commit your life?
It was in the fall.
it was in September, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
How long?
2014.
How long has God presented you with new challenges, or you were saying people were brought back into your life? Did you see any change in your relationship because of the conversion?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Great.
When you feel that urge to do something, do you contact somebody?
I've been doing really well that I haven't had those feelings. But I try to, yeah.
That's good.
How does your husband feel about your change?
He thinks it's awesome. He thinks it's awesome.
It's just awesome. I just said awful.
No.
Awesome. Yeah.
Maybe you'll help those in need of the same thing. Because you're not alone. Sometimes we grow up thinking, oh, we done the worst thing, or you think that you're alone, and you're not.
Typically, I've come to find anyway, that that's very true, that anybody thinks that, you know, they're the worst, or they're the best, or they're the only. There's 7 billion other people in this world that are, you know, at least one of them must have or tried, you know, right? You know, so typically you're never alone, especially in you know, when you're in those dark places. You know, you think you are, but you're not. You know that. You know that absolutely. Especially now that you're saved, you know for a fact that he won't leave you or forsake you. That was one of the things I think I said to you a long time ago. You can always put your hand out to the wall.
Something that's also really encouraging. Meg and I have been friends for a really long time, since middle school actually, and I've literally been praying for her for like 13 years. Wow. And, I know. It's like you're gonna cry, aren't you? So to see this transformation, I mean, literally my whole, like, most of my life, you know, she is in every journal, you know, just on my prayer list, like, Lord, save her, you know, that she would just come to know you. And, you know, and I would pray and I would think, is it really going to happen? Like, I've been praying for so long, is it really going to happen? And when she told me that it did, wow, it's been amazing. And so...
In those 13 years, did you ever tell her that you were praying for her? Or?
I don't think so, actually. I wasn't super open. I know when I was younger, I would talk to her about the Lord, but I was 13. I didn't really know. I had zero tact. I was like, I used to tell her things like, probably you shouldn't tell people. I've learned since then to word things a little bit better, but no, just I went off to college and we kind of lost touch, but I never stopped.
One of the last notes that I took.
Thank you for your prayers.
Yeah, absolutely.
It
works.
On the last page of notes that I have from my healing room training, I wrote in big letters, never stop praying.
Right. Wow.
And that didn't come from the healing room training. That came from a testimony of a friend of mine who was praying to get his wife saved for 14 years. Wow. And he said when it happened, he wasn't even there. He was working somewhere, and all of a sudden she found herself at our church. So, 14 years. Never stop praying. God doesn't work on our schedule; He works on His own schedule. He works on his time, not ours. You know? Never stop praying.
You get a big round of applause for Megan.
Yes.